All right, ladies, let's be real for a second. If you are constantly wondering whether it's enough in your relationship, like whether he's doing enough, whether the relationship is enough for you, it's probably not. Welcome back, ladies. If you're new here, my name is Bethany, and here at The Curated Feminine, I help women to connect to the best, most incredible version of themselves through things like psychology, human behavior, and feminine energy. So today we're going to be talking about bare minimum standards and what that actually looks like in relationships, because there's so much, I'll just say, misinformation out there around what a healthy relationship looks like versus not. But I think we're all getting a little bit confused. If you go on to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, there's a lot of videos around, the right man for you. A high value man is a man that has a super yacht and wants to pay for every holiday and wants to buy you diamonds, and all that's nice, but that has nothing to do with what an actual healthy relationship looks like. And so we tend to swing on this pendulum from accepting absolute rubbish, bare minimum treatment to expecting the kind of princess treatment that actually only some men can truly do. And instead, we're not focusing on what actually matters in a relationship, what really healthy standards look like. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, what is bare minimum treatment? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So if he's only texting you late at night when you're dating, that's bare minimum treatment. There isn't a single man in the world who's too busy that he can't pick up the phone and text you and check in with you. Now, if you have a healthy, secure attachment style, you're not going to be expecting constant communication anyway. But a man who's really committed to you wants to speak to you more than just late at night. So texting late at night, absolute, not even bare minimum, below bare minimum. If he doesn't put in any effort to plan dates, also bare minimum. Doesn't take that much effort to do some research. A man should want to see you happy. And planning dates that align with what you really love, what both of you love together, is part of that. If he ever disappears for days with no explanation, that's below bare minimum. That's disgusting behavior. We don't do that here. Again, there's no such thing as a man who is too busy to ever reach out to you. If he gives you little breadcrumbs of validation to keep you hooked, right? Like a little compliment here, little compliment there, but then he negs you, where he tries to maybe insult you or poke or prod at you, below bare minimum, not even bare minimum. I should just call this a below bare minimum podcast. If he expects girlfriend energy, but he's giving situationship effort, right? So if he expects you to show up, if he expects loyalty and exclusivity, if he expects you to cook, clean, all the things, but he's not even putting any effort into you, that's below bare minimum treatment. So let's talk about why you are tolerating bare minimum treatment in the first place. So from a psychological and a feminine energy angle, there's normally a few different reasons. So if you've got low self-worth conditioning, if you were raised to be grateful for any kind of attention, if you had parents that weren't very attentive to you, if you had loved ones in your life that taught you that you weren't enough as you are, then you likely accept bare minimum treatment and think it's just fine. If you didn't have a mother or a father figure that was really there for you, especially a father figure that's really there for you to teach you how you deserve to be treated, then you will accept bare minimum treatment. You'll accept breadcrumbs and you'll think it's just fine. If you have a fear of being alone, right? So if you have especially anxious attachment styles are huge in this, and you think that you're not good enough as you are, if you have this fear that you won't attract the right man, then you'll accept any kind of treatment, including bare minimum or below bare minimum treatment, instead of actually thinking about, what are my standards? What am I okay with in relationships? What do I actually desire in relationships? What does a beautiful relationship look like for me? If you believe that if you just love harder, he'll change, then you'll tolerate bare minimum treatment, because you'll think that one day he's just going to wake up, he's going to change for you. And we see this trope a lot in romance movies. So we're conditioned to think that at some point a man will just fall in love with you enough that he'll change. Men don't work like that. Men change for them. A man will only change if it actually suits him. Men aren't dumb, they're smart, right? So they're not going to change for you just because you expect them to. They change if they experience consequences for behavior. They'll change if they realize that they're not actually going to get what they want, if they won't get the kind of woman that they want, etc., if they don't change. So he's not going to wake up one day, look at you and think, she's so beautiful, I better treat her better. Men don't work like that, no matter how good a man he is. And there's also another reason we tend to tolerate bare minimum treatment is we've got this confusion between being receptive and being a doormat. So there's a lot of women out there that feel like, oh, I'm feminine, or I'm kind, or I'm receptive, or I'm this, or I'm that. No, you're a people pleaser, right? If you're a people pleaser, you accept any kind of treatment, regardless of what it looks like, because you don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or because you don't believe that you're actually worthy of more, which is what we spoke about before. When you truly understand your worth as a person, when you understand that you don't need to bring things to the table, you are the table as a woman, you create life, you enhance a man's life, you make his life better. As long as you're working on yourself and you're choosing kindness, authenticity, you're enhancing your knowledge, as long as you're doing those things, taking care of yourself as well, as long as you're doing those things, you're going to enhance a man's life simply by being in it. Did you know that we produce more oxytocin than men? So if he comes home from a long day of work and gives you a cuddle, you literally, scientifically calm him down. So you already bring enough to the table. Women have this really bad habit of second guessing what our worth is. Men tend not to do that. So I work in recruitment during the day, and I've seen I had this happen just this morning, actually. Perfect example, right? I had 2 different change managers that interviewed through me. One was a man and one was a woman. The woman called me straight after her interview and said, I told them that I don't have enough experience for this role. I know what they're looking for, and I haven't done it previously. They need somebody at XYZ level, right? And then I had the male that interviewed through me call me, and he said, I can do this role, no problem. I haven't done it before, but I can figure it out. Da, da, da. And they actually liked her better than him. They thought that she was more qualified for the role than he was. This has to do a lot with testosterone, the male brain and how it works. There's nothing actually wrong with it, but men tend to second guess themselves a lot less than women. This is why women tend to accept worse treatment than men, generally speaking, because we tend to second guess ourselves more and think that we need to do more than we actually need to do. And therefore we accept and tolerate bare minimum treatment without thinking twice about it. So there's a huge cost of settling in relationships. There is a huge cost of accepting bare minimum standards from a man. It leads to emotional burnout. It leads to a lot of resentment and bitterness. It'll lead to a total loss of any kind of magnetism, right? So the very things that he, if he loves you, the things that he fell in love with, or the things that drew him to you, you will lose if you stay in a relationship with a man who doesn't treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. You lose your playfulness. You lose your love for yourself. You start disrespecting yourself because every time you accept bare minimum standards, you're telling yourself that that's all that you deserve. And so you'll start to treat yourself worse. You'll stop taking care of yourself as well. You'll stop, your self-talk will become more negative. You'll become bitter and stressed out and lose your playfulness and your silliness because you are picking up all the emotional labor in the relationship because, again, he's doing the bare minimum. And so who has to pick up the slack? It's you. So here's how to actually raise your standards. So first of all, there's a lot of inner work that goes along with this. You can't just wake up one day and decide, I no longer tolerate bare minimum treatment, and so I'm going to go get the man of my dreams, because you're tolerating it for a reason. So there's likely a lot of conditioning that's happened in your background. There's likely a lack of confidence that happened before you even started accepting the standards. But now that you accepted bare minimum standards for so long, your confidence is likely taken a dive, right? So there is so much inner work that comes with this. But at a minimum, you need to get really radically honest about what you want. So an exercise that I do with my clients is you list out 10 different things that you're really seeking in your man as a minimum. And then you want to question yourself on it, really critically think through, why do I want those things? So I did this exercise with a client once, and she was like, I need a man that can, fly me around the world at the drop of a hat. Do you? Do you actually need that? Because you're a hardworking woman, and you very rarely actually speak about men and money at the same time. You're making your own money. So do you actually need a man that can just fly you around the world? Or is that just something that looks nice on TikTok? Is it respect that you're actually needing? Is it a man who's a gentleman? Like for me, one of my standards is I need a man who's a gentleman, a man who wants to open doors for me, a man who wants to book the dates for me. That's a standard, right? So you want to critically think through why you have the standards that you have. Where did they come from? Are they your beliefs, or are they from your parents, or from TikTok, or from your sister, or from girlfriends? Think about why you actually want those things in the first place, and keep narrowing it down until you have a list of 10 requirements, prerequisites that you want in a man that are non-negotiable. And next, you want to practice saying no. Every time you're fed breadcrumbs, just no. And you can do this in a way that feels playful and fun. You can start practicing it. There's so many women out there in this generation that turn down men like for sport, that belittle men for sport. And this is something I'm teaching my daughters not to do, right? So if a man comes up to you, like say you're in a nice classy bar, he comes up to you and he hits on you, purposely humiliating him is not where it's at, right? If a man is respectfully trying to get your attention, like he's not going through Tinder, he's actually walking up to you like a normal human being, then you don't want to punish that behavior, right? So that's not what I mean when I say practice saying no. But if you have a man who, let's say you match on Tinder, right? And automatically he's saying he like can't afford a date or doesn't plan a date or where do you want to go? You can just say no. Sorry, I only go out with men that plan dates. Thank you. Bye. Right? You don't have to be obnoxious about it, but you do need to practice saying no over and over again until it feels natural to you. Because every time you say no to a man who's giving you breadcrumbs, you're going to feel your heart beat faster. You're going to feel this panic in your body, but that doesn't mean you're doing the wrong thing. It just means you're not practiced at it yet. So you have to practice saying no to breadcrumbs over and over again. Another way to raise your standards and to stop accepting breadcrumbs is to get really busy with things that you actually love in your own life. It's not necessarily about the man. So much of the inner work has to do with you. So if you are busy with girlfriends that actually light you up, if you have hobbies that make you happy, right? Like if you're a Pilates girly, go to Pilates a few times a week. If you've got girlfriends that you genuinely love that light you up, make sure you've got dates booked in with them, times where you're having fun. Make sure that you're doing things in your life that actually light you up so that you're genuinely busy, so that he actually has to pursue you. Because if you are used to accepting breadcrumbs in life, you're probably accepting breadcrumbs everywhere, not just with men, which means you're not keeping yourself busy enough with things that actually light you up. You deserve to do things that make you happy, that light you up. So stay busy with things that align with your values, that align with the things that you actually love in life, with things that actually light you up and give you energy. And lastly, you need to learn to receive from genuinely masculine men who seem to care about you. So once you've started becoming busier in your life with things that you actually love, once you have your list of 10 prerequisites for dating that you will not budge on, right? So 10 non-negotiables, then when you meet a man who's actually treating you well, you want to practice receiving it. If you are used to breadcrumbs, you're probably also used to people pleasing and bending over backwards for men that don't deserve it. In fact, you shouldn't be bending over backwards for a man in the first place. Men get off, true masculine men get off on the art of pursuing you. It's how they're built, it's hormonal, it's in their DNA. This is why, I had a client of mine actually who gave me this example. So this is why if you see a man who goes out fishing, he brags about how hard the fish was to catch, right? He doesn't say like, oh, the fish it took me 2 seconds and it came onto the line and oh, look, it's big anyway, and change the subject. Like he has to go through this whole story about how hard he had to work to catch the damn fish. You're the fish in the scenario. Men love to pursue. Truly masculine men love to pursue. So give masculine men in dating a chance to actually pursue you. Give men the chance to chase you a little bit. Give them the chance to bond with you by investing time and energy into you. When you practice receiving these things, you'll get to the point where breadcrumbs start to give you the ick so quickly, you have no problem saying no. You won't even have to practice it that much. When you get used to receiving from genuine, authentic, high-quality men, you won't even be able to see the men that give you breadcrumbs anymore. You'll get rid of them from your life so fast you won't even bat an eyelash. Now, if you are ready to step into the version of yourself that can see her own magnetism, that is in love with her life, that doesn't accept breadcrumbs from men, that knows what a healthy relationship looks like, if you're ready to do all of those things, I've got a couple of options for you. So one, you can join the Curated Collective, which is my hypermind full of several other beautiful women. You get coaching twice per week, as well as access to half-an-hour trainings every single month that go really in depth. The last one that I did was on the differences between the male and the female brain and how to communicate with men. So juicy. The other option is to join my signature course called the Feminine Blueprint. So it takes you through every single thing you would ever need to know about feminine energy, inner child healing, psychology, and healing altogether. So I'll drop the link to both of those in the caption. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.